As far as I can remember, always been a very creative, curious person. Kind of like I had all the right tools or the right people around me to guide my journey. I was the only Ghanaian in the special English class, so I really struggled. You know, anybody who went to Accra is a tough nut. We don't like to be cheated, we don't like to be bullied. That just made me, you know, the core of the man that I am, I think I built at Accra. I was lucky to fall into a bunch of friends who partied hard, but we all took our studies very seriously. Ghana doesn't prepare you or raise you to be a very confident person, so I had a little trouble with that when it came to presentation.
Hi guys, welcome to episode 2 of Let's Talk ReZultz, which is the ReZultz podcast aimed at inspiring creative talent in any particular industry, whether it be design, fashion, architecture, art. This is all aimed at really inspiring the next generation of artists and artisans in taking their talent to the next level. Today, we're going to take you through the Rehab project, which is work in progress, and we're going to talk through other projects that Michael's doing. So I hope you enjoy it. If you like it, like, follow, subscribe, and be with us on our journey. Thanks very much. Let's go. Michael, good afternoon, man.
Afternoon, how you doing, man?
Good to see you again, I'm all right.
Good to see you.
How are you?
It's been a minute.
Everything cool?
Everything blessed.
Nice one, man. Yeah. So listen, welcome to this is our second episode of our ReZultz. We've created this podcast called Let's Talk ReZultz. And the whole idea is really to speak to people like you, people in the creative space that have a really interesting journey, people that have started from somewhere and are going somewhere else. And the idea is really to inspire people that are trying to get into the creative industry, whether it be fashion, whether it be design, architecture, art, music. The idea is really to use your experience and your learnings and your journey to inspire people that are trying to get into that space.
Yeah.
So on behalf of the team ReZultz, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's get into it, man. Should we start off by drinking?
Yeah.
This is one of yours, right?
Yes, this is meditation.
Tell us a bit about that. Before we get too deep into you, let's talk about meditation.
This is a drink made in Ghana, wholly made in Ghana. We have a local spirit. We have cloves, honey, ginger,
honey and ginger.
Yeah, and wintia. I don't know the English names for that.
It's not important, man.
I hope you've had this potent. Before. Yeah.
We have had it before.
Yeah.
Last week even.
Exactly.
Nice one.
So not too much.
It's never too much, man. It's never too much. Thanks, my brother.
Welcome. Cheers.
Cheers. Nice one. So, Michael, tell me, what can you share about your past, right? That really help us understand the man that's here today. So let's take it back to before.
Back to childhood.
Yeah, let's go back to the childhood, if you don't mind.
All right. As far as I can remember, maybe the age of 5 or 6, I've always been a very creative, curious person. So I started drawing and painting very early.
Right.
I remember back in the day of the Commando comic books. I would take a piece of paper and try and mimic or duplicate exactly what I saw on the other page.
Right.
Yeah, so I've always been passionate about
Is this
design.
part of your DNA?
It's part of my DNA because my dad was a civil engineer. He started taking me to the office very early, at a very young age, to start learning how to letter and to draft. My uncle was a famous architect, so it's kind of like...
Who's that?
Victor Adegbite.
Okay.
He did Job 600, Pedasi Lodge.
He did Pedasi Lodge?
Yeah. The Ghanaian embassy in Washington, D.C. He has pictures of him and Nkrumah walking and selected sites for various projects.
So obviously that was very influential back then.
Correct.
He was very influential in terms of your lifestyle and your upbringing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I remember he used to send Christmas cards every year, and even his signature was very unique. So I still have copies of that.
Interesting. So do you think that was a heavy influence on your interest in design and art and architecture?
Yeah, I think very much so. And also, just remember, growing up, there was an artist that used to live in our house, you know, Amate. So I learned how to paint portraits and stuff from him. So it's kind of like I had all the right tools or the right people around me to guide my journey. It was either I was going to be an artist, interior designer, an architect, or maybe a rebel or something. So
we'll talk about the rebel part soon.
Yeah, it's very important. Yeah. It's necessary.
Let's talk about your schooling.
Yeah.
Where did you go to school?
If I can start,
let's go.
I went to Merton Nursery, opposite the conference center. I went to GIS I went to Research Class 1.
Yeah.
And because they didn't want me to fall in the common entrance loop thing, I was part of the last batch, the A-level last batch. So from Class 1, I got promoted to GIS Class 2. I always had a problem with that. I struggled learning. I was the only Ghanaian in the special English class, so I really struggled.
Wait, let me understand that. You were the only Ghanaian in a special English class?
There was a special English class which was for students who are now learning English for the first time, like the Koreans and Chinese that were in Ghana.
Oh, okay.
And I was so behind that I remember being the only Ghanaian in that class.
How did you feel about that at the time?
Oh, insecurities throughout. Some never go away. But,
right. Because you felt as though you weren't keeping up with the rest of them, or you were struggling. What was it?
Sometimes you feel like you're not smart enough.
Right.
That's the truth.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did you get through that? Because that must have been, at that age, that must have been a difficult experience.
It was tough.
How did you navigate your way through that and come out?
Yeah, it was tough, especially. So GIS, I made it to Form 1. I repeated Form 1 because I didn't have very good grades.
Right.
After that, my parents pulled me out and sent me to Accra Academy.
Okay.
That is when I began to learn.
I see.
I got there in Form 3 and I was all the way there to Upper 6.
Right.
O levels, I got 13. That was one short of distinction, so I kind of did well. A levels, I passed on my grades.
Yeah.
So clearly, I wasn't dumb. I might have been in the wrong situation.
Sure.
Or maybe I think I didn't know how to focus enough to learn. I was always good. I could draw, I could sculpt, I could do a lot of other things.
Was there any were you getting any support from the teachers, or?
I was getting all the support. I had private tutors and everything.
Right.
I think the truth of the matter is I didn't really care for words. So I was more of a creative. I wanted to see images. I wanted to see something that would, captivate me. So I could have a book in front of me, but I couldn't really focus.
Right.
Maybe ADHD or whatever I may call it.
Right.
Yeah.
I appreciate your honesty, man. So when you got to, what did you say, Accra Academy?
Accra Academy, yeah.
So tell us about that experience.
Well, best days of my life, and also the worst days of my life. Yeah.
Really?
It was really tough.
Talk about it.
It was really tough. It was a transition from what, of course, coming from a soft school like GIS into a hard school, which is by Kaneshi Market. I learned a lot of life lessons there. I saw real life.
Right.
So it was very instrumental on who I am today. Discipline, you have to go to prep at a certain time, you have to study at a certain time, you have to sleep at a certain time. So I needed that discipline in my life. Did
it help you though? 100%. Or did you feel as though it made you rebellious?
Both.
Okay.
Both.
Let's talk about the rebellious part. I think that's the more interesting part.
Yeah, definitely. So, anybody who went to Accra is a tough nut.
Yeah.
We don't like to be cheated. We don't like to be bullied. So that just made me, the core of the man that I am. I think I built at Accra Academy.
Right. Yeah. What do you think are some of the key learnings from that experience? The key learnings from them that have made you who you are now? Are they like some key, 2 or 3 things that you experienced back then that make you who you are now? You've got to dig deep and think about that.
Yeah, I'm trying to dig deep and think about it. First of all, at Accra, there are a lot of people from different backgrounds.
Okay.
So you learn to be humble, right?
After Accra Academy,
yeah.
Let's talk about the next stage of your journey.
Yeah. So after Accra Academy, Victor Digbite happened to be the former Dean of Architecture at Howard University.
In DC?
In Washington, DC.
Right.
So he told my father that he should let me come there for university. My older brother went there a year before I did.
Right, okay.
So I followed on and
Right. What year was that?
1997.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was a 5-year program.
Right.
Yeah, I did the 5 years in architecture.
Okay.
I got recruited by MGM Mirage in Las Vegas to come work for them.
Yeah.
So great opportunity. I jumped on it.
You're going too fast. Wait. Slow down.
Backtrack.
Because that's a massive transition, right?
Yeah.
From Accra Academy.
Yeah.
To
Washington, DC. First time out of the country.
And you were there for first time out of the country?
Yeah, first time out of the country.
Tell us about that transition from being in Accra to Washington, DC, Howard, one of the best universities.
HBCU.
Talk about that. Talk about that learning experience and moving from here to there. What were you feeling at the time?
I was feeling, so at that age, of course, I'm beginning to be a man and a rebel. So
you must have been
17,
18.
Yeah, so now freedom, parents are not around. Yeah. I can do anything I want. But I knew...
You were there to learn though. What do you mean?
I was there to learn, but you know how the party goes.
Yeah, when you're 17.
Freedom at last. So the truth of the matter is, I was lucky to fall into a bunch of friends who partied hard, but we all took our studies very seriously. So, you know, we were up late at night to do all our schoolwork, but after that, we go have a good time.
Because it was a passion at the time as well?
Yeah, it was passionate, yeah.
Right,
and because I had, I feel A-level education in Ghana was very advanced. When I got to university, I got some credits already, you know, in the math subjects and physics. So I was a little bit more advanced. It was a little bit of a breeze. Because I knew a little bit about design or architecture before going in. So it was good.
It was quite cool. So Michael, tell us about that transition from Accra Academy to DC. And then we can talk about Vegas.
All right.
So there's like 3 chapters. In my mind, there's 3 massive chapters. So I want to start from chapter 1.
All right. So I guess to America, I remember my dad was very proud that his last child was going to the States. Wow. He had this red suede suit that I had to wear.
Red suede? Oh, he gave you the red suede?
Yeah, he gave me the red, you know, I didn't have a choice. I had to wear it. So I remember getting there and my brother's friends were all laughing like, it's fresh off the boat, you know.
He thinks it looks cool?
Yeah, I thought it was cool. My dad was cool, so I thought it was cool as well. Yeah. But that was good. I mean, I got into the architecture program. I made some good friends.
But were there any difficulties?
There were difficulties.
Because you hadn't really traveled before that, right?
I mean, it was an all-black university. Yeah. Initially, I didn't find a lot of the African Americans welcoming.
Okay.
You know.
How did that manifest itself, though? When you say you didn't find them welcoming, were they just weren't really engaging with you, or
they were not really engaging with me. It's not like they did anything to make me feel.
But just the energy didn't feel right.
Yeah, the energy didn't feel right. But I guess over the time, how
did you navigate that?
I think I can navigate anywhere. I can put me in China. I'll make friends with anybody. I'm very sociable, so it was easy to overcome that.
That's interesting. Yeah. Because it reminds me of, you know, even though I was born and raised in London, some of the schools I went to, even though it's very different to what you're talking about, some of the schools I went to were very white, right? And I just had to try and fit in, or I just had to fit in, whether it's being by myself or whether it's trying to adapt. So my question comes, because I'm really trying to understand how you managed to fit into that kind of situation. Did you try and be like them, or did you just let your talent shine? What was it that allowed you to navigate that transition?
Yeah, I think naturally I did good schoolwork, good design, I had good design ideas. So naturally that helped. So the truth of the matter is, I didn't know I was black till I got to America. Right. Because nobody drums into your head. I mean, Ghana, we have different tribes. I'm Ga, the Ashantis, the Ewes, we all get along. Yeah. The moment you get there and something happens and people say it's racist, but I don't think it's racist. I think maybe it's just funny. You understand?
Can you give me an example of that?
Oh, this is a good one. I was working at this firm and one of my African-American friends bought a color TV, right? And I remember the white person said, "Oh, how's the color on the TV?" He got offended. I didn't see.
What are you getting offended? Yeah.
I didn't see the issue. I mean, how's the color quality on your TV? I didn't think it was a racist question at all. But he got really offended and he had a few choice of words.
I see.
I think sometimes we're made to pick a side.
I think that has a lot to do with our cultural background and our
Ghana, we're very welcoming to everybody, so I didn't see it as an issue.
Absolutely. Yeah. So tell us a bit about the architecture course, right? And tell us about some of the key things or some of the key learnings from that course in DC and Howard. How do you think those things have helped you to become the man that's here today?
Okay, so it wasn't a bed of roses at Howard University. I had to work at the cafeteria, which wasn't too funny, you know, because you're trying to be cool. Working on campus at the cafeteria wasn't the coolest thing to do, right? So I had to pay, you know, some of my room and board. Family was taking care of some of the bills. Right. So that made me, you know, responsible. You know, I think everybody should learn to live by themselves or on their own. There's a lot of lessons to learn that way, especially being away from family. You can't always rely on parents to pay some bills for you. You got to be a man and handle some of these things yourself.
But that helps you get through your course, right?
5 years, yes. Okay. That really helped me. And I think the education was top-notch. You know, it was an accredited 5-year program. Right. I didn't have to do masters after.
Yeah, tell us about some of the cultural differences that you experienced in DC, Howard, in terms of the differences in background and culture? Were there any issues of conflict? A Ghanaian being in
I think
DC?
naturally Ghana doesn't prepare you or raise you to be a very confident person, to be an outspoken person. So I had a little trouble with that when it came to presentation or even just communicating with the average African American. They tend to be very confident and very proud and very outspoken.
Very vocal, articulate.
Yeah, so I had to learn how to be that.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did that make you feel at the time?
Oh, I was very timid at the beginning, you know.
Right.
Yeah,
And then
shy
how did you
and timid.
overcome that?
Well, if you're
Because a lot of people experience that. A lot of people experience that difficulty in standing up and presenting or even talking to a group of people.
I still do till this day.
You do?
Yeah. If there's a crowd of more than 20 people, I shy away from public speaking.
Even if you're talking about your work and your project?
Didn't I try not to do this interview?
You did try not to do this interview. And I'm very grateful that
Should
you did
be told, yeah.
Right. And it's because of the challenges that you faced at that time,
No,
right?
I think it's the Ghanaian. I'll blame that to the Ghanaian upbringing, not the African American experience. If at all, the American experience helped me come out more of my shell.
Sure.
And be able to face some of these things.
And just be more confident.
More confident and more outspoken and more expressive.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it was positive. It was really positive.
Yeah, I can see how positive it would be, and I always think about that challenge because, as you can expect, I was educated in London, and part of the educational system is they encourage you to be articulate.
Yeah.
And you know, even when you're applying for a job, some of the requirements, bubbly personality, outgoing, articulate. So it's in your head from a very early age that you need to be able to talk confidently about whatever.
Yeah.
It's there from, you know, when you finish school, you've got to be able to express yourself and talk. So I always wonder, and I always try and, in terms of, you know, the ReZultz team, I always try and encourage them to, you're super talented. You've done a great piece of work, a great piece of design. Try and talk about it in a way that's very compelling and engaging and exciting. And I always wonder how to help my team.
But you see, the cool thing about architecture is your work can speak for itself. So I don't do a lot of talking. If you want to know if I'm a good architect or not, I show you my work. I can just be quiet and you decipher if it's good or not.
I do agree, but you need to be able to talk about it as well.
That's very true. It helps.
It helps.
It does help.
It helps to bring it to life.
Yeah.
You know. So I want to understand how that experience has helped you now, in terms of what you went through in Howard, and what was your journey to confidence been like from then to now?
There's what I learned in the classroom, and there's what I learned, I'll say, from the streets, right? And from the streets,
street education is so important.
I think, I mean, just working different jobs or just going out. And at the time in 97 to when I was there in 2002, DC was a rough city. It's changed a lot now. So back then, I mean, just walking the streets, you had to be tough. You know, in Ghana, we just smile for no reason. There's no smiling here, you know.
That's really interesting.
You just have to know how to navigate your ways, because it's kind of like, I don't know what you're carrying. You also don't know what I'm carrying. My hands and my hoodie.
Right.
We're both walking late in the night.
Right.
You know, let's see what happens.
Right.
So that mentality kind of prepared me for, you know, being tough. Even like in my office today, I need to be a tough boss. They need to get the work done. So you need to know how to, apart from convincing them or being a good leader so that they get the work done on time, sometimes you just need to put...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
MGM Design
They
Group.
recruited me out of Howard University.
How did you get that job? They recruited on what basis? On what basis did they? How did they find you? Because you know, when you think about Vegas, Vegas is a globally sought after destination.
So it's an interesting story, because I had just finished school, or it was the last week of school. And I remember this gentleman's name, one of my mentors, Louis DeSantis. Okay. He came to Washington, D.C. to find, so MGM Mirage Design Group had one black person, and the guy quit. So for affirmative action, they needed to have a black person. Okay. For diversity, they needed somebody.
They need to fill a quota.
Yeah, they need to fill a quota. So he came to Washington, D.C., Black University. And I believe they flew 12 of us to Las Vegas for an interview.
Right.
I got picked.
You were the only one that got picked?
Yes.
I wonder why.
I'm that good.
That's super, man.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
so I got picked, and 2 or 3 weeks later, I moved to Vegas.
Right.
No money. Had to,
So you got recruited by
MGM. Yeah.
Design Group.
I worked with them for a year.
What was your role there?
I was an intern architect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was there for a year and a half or 2. I worked with Paul Stillman Design Group.
Yeah.
I worked with Cagley and Tanner.
Okay.
It was at Cagley and Tanner up to 2008. The recession hit. Lost everything.
Before we go into that,
Yeah.
so I think in terms of what you learned from that, in terms of the experience you amassed whilst you were in Vegas, you worked on a number of different projects.
A lot of
Trump Tower.
Prestigious projects.
Bellagio.
Yes. Bellagio. I did Wind Creek Casino in Alabama, Alabama.
Okay,
so I was flying there every 2 weeks to go check on the project.
Right. Where was that? Flying where?
At Alabama. Atmore in Alabama.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
What a great experience.
Native Indian reservation.
What a great experience. And how old were you at the time?
I was 28.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But the thing is, we always knew how to get our work done first before we partied.
Okay.
And that is where I became confident as a designer.
Okay.
Because I left school as an intern architect. I was working in an architecture firm. But the thing is, I learned design, hospitality design, which is very unique and very different.
Right.
I mean, to put a project together.
Okay. Hospitality design specifically.
Hospitality design is what I would like to think I specialized in. So we designed from the menu of the restaurant to sometimes what the outfits, the uniforms that
Okay, so it's the full scale,
design
the full experience.
spectrum. Yeah.
The full experience. You talked about the recession.
Yeah.
But before that, were you ever thinking about, I need to come back? I need to come back to Ghana.
I always thought I had to come back because my dad left his office. My father passed in 2005. So there was an office in Osu, Design Consultants, which was founded in 1968. And the dream was my brother was going to run the office and I'll come and assist.
Okay.
But I believe my brother didn't move back and I moved back first. So I took over that. But you see, the truth of the matter is when you compare Ghana and the States, usually the States wins. In terms of the
experience,
the projects you can even work on, because I haven't even designed a 5-story build. I've designed a 5-story or more in Ghana, but I haven't seen one built yet.
Okay.
Where in Vegas I was doing.
Right. You design it and you see it come to life.
$2 million project that was just the bar, not the whole project.
Just the bar.
Just the bar. You understand?
Right.
So yeah.
Right.
So I had to lose everything before I came to Ghana. Just being honest. We all have fantasies of moving back.
Sure.
But you visit and sometimes it doesn't feel as if you're going to really make a difference here or your career is really going to advance.
So do you think if the recession hadn't hit, do you think you'll still be there?
I'm sure I'll be a director of design at one of the fabulous firms in Vegas.
Right. So let's cut to the chase as to where you are right here and right now.
In a very happy place.
That's very good to hear.
Yeah.
Do you ever wonder what it would be like
if I was,
there?
yeah. I mean,
did you go back? Did you visit?
I haven't been to America in 12 years.
Okay.
I have everything here in Ghana.
So Michael, tell us about your plan to come back to Ghana after working in Vegas and amassing all of that experience culturally, artistically, educationally. Did you have a plan beyond that to say, you know what, Vegas is great and I'm learning a lot, but one day, I'm going to try and come back and do something. Was that ever written down? Was it ever in your mind? And if it was?
It was 100%. It was more like embedded in me because I knew there was a firm that I had to come back to try and lead.
Yeah.
But
I
didn't know when I was going to move back. I had a plan. I had a piece of paper that dates back and I've written all the things I wanted to achieve and most of it was in Ghana because I knew for a fact I wanted to retire in Ghana, right? So,
why was that important to you though?
Why would you retire in America? I mean, the country of your birth. I mean, look, we're at the beach right now. Why?
What's not to like?
It's summer year round. Yeah. I mean, why retire in somebody else's country?
Yeah.
So definitely I had to come back home. But I didn't know when I would have to make the move.
Right.
So the recession really made it easy.
It kind of forced you to do it.
It forced me to do it. No regrets, no looking back.
But did you have the plan to build something like this?
Yes.
At the time? Was that in terms of a beach bar, was that the plan or was it more general? The plan was to own a restaurant or own a hotel, something hospitality related. Yeah.
But I knew I didn't want to rent a space to do that.
Okay.
I felt it would be better to build from scratch.
Right.
Yeah.
Because?
It's a better option. You get to control everything the way you want to.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the challenges.
Yeah.
In terms of, you and I know what it's like being over there.
Yeah.
We know that the systems are in place. We know that things work more efficiently.
Yeah.
But how did you navigate the challenges from US, DC, Vegas? And how are you navigating them now? How is it helping you to
I think patience
overcome?
and perseverance. I mean, for me, it's once I know things are not always going to be like this, I keep pushing until they improve.
Yeah.
You know, so we've had a lot of hurdles we had to jump. You know, so next hurdle, bring it on. It may take a year or so to cross that. You know, land issues with employees, trust, you know how it is, management. I mean, the doubts come from all different angles, but I mean, so that's what education prepares you for.
Yeah.
Living in different cities,
Yeah.
with different backgrounds, the different exposures kind of prepare you for things like this.
How has that helped you? Because look, with the best will in the world, right? We're managing local talent, right? And local culture. Local, they've never traveled. So we're trying to impart what we've learned outside to here.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's really, really difficult because the people that we're trying to impart it to, they haven't had that exposure.
Sometimes you don't get it.
They don't get it.
So you just have to.
So how do you navigate that?
You got to repeat yourself. You need to. First of all, you need to sell the dream to them. You know, so being an architect, I have like 3D renderings. I have an animation. I've always had an animation of this place. So sometimes you play the video for them. They see their rendering and like, okay, is this what boss is trying to build? And they feel like they're part of the dream.
Yeah.
So if every day they see
I think
improvement,
that's very important.
you know, we
Letting them
started
feel
this
like they're
place.
part of the vision.
Yeah, we started with a container. We started with chicken wings and yam. That's about 6 years ago.
Before all of this.
Before all of this, we added jollof, we added fried rice. You know, we didn't even have bathrooms when we started.
This location.
Same location. I can show you pictures. It has always been like a build-on. You know.
Has there been anybody in that journey that has really been influential to you, that's helped you get to where you are, besides your family? With their partners, with their friends?
A lot of friends. A lot of friends have helped me out. I grew up in Teshinigwa Estates, so my Teshinigwa crew has been very instrumental. My Howard University family they've been great. My Accra Academy family, my GIS family.
Yeah.
So I'll go back to the people that I grew up with and people that I know.
And a lot of them you're still friends with right now, yeah?
Still friends with right now. They support the business. They come over here. They recommend. They bring friends here. So it's been really.
What is it that you would have needed to hear back then that would have helped you now?
That don't rush it. Be patient. In time, the good things come to those who wait.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And if do you have children?
Not to my knowledge.
But if you did have children, if one of your children came from the village and said, "Look, Daddy, I want to pursue this career," what advice would you give them in order to help them navigate that journey?
Start early. Start planning early and start dreaming early. And no dream is too big. You understand? So I started drafting. My dad put me in the office when I was like 6 years old.
Right.
I remember there was a summer that a lot of my mates were traveling out to the country. He put my brother and I in a carpenter shop in Teshi.
Yeah.
So we learned wood joinery, we learned carpentry. Up to this day, I benefit from that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that foundational
that
level
foundation really set us up.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I mean, if I always knew it was going to be something creative, artist, architect, interior designer.
Right.
So I've always been in that field.
What does the next sort of 5 years look like for Michael?
5 years.
And your firm? First of all, before we get into that, we're celebrating 55 years.
Yes.
Of your firm.
Of architectural excellence.
Architectural excellence. Massive achievement. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So what do the next sort of 10 years look like?
Wow.
What's the ambition?
I haven't had that dream in a while, but limitless. Yeah, I don't know which direction we're going to go in.
Are you going to be staying in the architecture space, construction, or you've got other?
I'm always going to stay in the architecture space. But the truth about Ghana is people don't give projects to those that are deserving. For example, my background is hospitality. You would think that if there's any major hospitality project, I'll be involved. but they'd rather give it to their cousin who's an architect that has no experience.
Right.
I wouldn't want to name drop on projects, but there are certain projects that you see and like, wow, who did this?
So Michael, let's talk a little bit about what you're doing now with Rehab and your team and your staff, right? What are some of the most important things for you as a boss, as a leader, in terms of priority? What do you see as, these are some of the key things that I need to lead my team and continue my vision?
I believe I need to sell them the vision. They need to have a career and not just employment, right? So they need to see beyond what's happening here. As in, if you come in as a waiter, I don't expect you to be a waiter for 5 years. You need to be a supervisor. You need to find a way to move up. Same as in my architecture firm, you need to design a way for them to improve so they end up being able to take care of themselves and their families. That's very important for me. Just being positive and knowing that there's always a way out of something. You know, there are certain times where you're designing, you get bogged down on something, you can't see a way out, a way through it.
Yeah.
But I think that's just because you're not looking deep enough, or you haven't done enough research. Because as the saying goes, there's nothing new under the sun.
Absolutely.
Anything you want to design, if you do good research, you know, you'll find an example or something to inspire you, and not to copy, you need to do equal or better.
Yeah. A follow-up question from that is, what do you think it takes to be a good leader?
What it takes to be a good leader? Being in the pit with them, not just leading them, not being ahead of them and trying to lead them, but being in the pit, being the pit, getting your hands dirty with them. Yeah. When people see you working, when people see me sweeping and cleaning, they know they have to sweep and clean better. You know, but I try not to always point fingers, say you do this, you do that. Like, I want to be involved.
Get involved, get stuck in. Cool. All right, cool.